I know that it's often looked down upon to have this view, but I think that it's essential, not only to understand, but also to accept. And while it may seem pessimistic in nature, I think it can actually lead to more peace, really. But the fact of the matter is that it is not many people that, really care about me at all, really. And that's likely the same for most people. And I think it's important to accept that most people you meet really don't care about you. And I'm not saying that it's impossible for somebody to care about you. I'm just saying that it's such an unlikely set of circumstances that need to be met in order for that to occur. When people make the statement that, there's 8 billion people in the world, there's millions and billions of fish in the sea, that statement also has to account for the fact that a lot of those people have not developed the ability to care about people. And this video isn't just about, romantic partners. This is just about connection to humans in general. I have found that the ability to genuinely care about someone is rare, especially in the modern day. However, I don't think that this is a new thing. A lot of people contribute this to, the rise of social media and whatnot. And while that is true, I think that this is held true for a lot of human history, if not all of it. I think I'd like to start with where I think this comes from. I would say that there's a couple circumstances through which this phenomenon can occur. Firstly, if you give too much to someone, if you do everything right, that might not be enough. And I've talked about that previously, but what I mean by that is that it can be too much, right? If you are completely complacent with somebody and you enjoy all the things they enjoy, you treat them perfectly, you love them deeply, and you really, really care about them, what that could end up doing is replicating you as a form of them. And what that would do to your guys' connection is that they would start to view you as a mirror. And a lot of people don't like mirrors. Lots of people don't like to see what's going to reflect in the mirror, right? And if someone views you as simply an extension of themselves, then it's easier for them to care less about you because they think that they have their own selves as a reliant structure. I talked about this previously in the importance of loving yourself. Especially if someone doesn't love themselves, it's much easier for them to care less about you, regardless of if they mean to do it. And I guess what I'm trying to say is that you shouldn't close your heart off, but you really can't give your all to somebody. I mean, you can, but it's hard to do because the ability for someone to truly care about you and have that empathy for you is rare. And I hate that. And it feels hypocritical to say, because to make the statement, I care about other people, but no one cares about me, that would presume that you are like a perfect creature, which of course cannot be true. So that leads me to my second, point here. Due to the fact that there are so many people, it is possible for people to be entirely different from you, regardless of the fact that they're human, right? A lot of people say that, everyone shares the same human condition. We have the same emotions. We have the same, reactions, feelings, etc. But that's not true. I mean, that can draw people together as a society. That can bring people together. It can bring comfort, but that's a lie. It's not true, right? There are people in this world that will lie straight to your face. Some people do it out of malice, and some people do it because they genuinely don't see the issue in doing it. And the reason that some of these people can't see the issue in doing it, and the reason some people do it out of malice, is because they just haven't developed the same empathy as you or perhaps some other people. And I think that empathy and the ability to care for other people is rare. I don't really see that anymore. And I don't like saying it because it feels egotistical, again, to make the statement, I care about people. But, I mean, I really feel like I don't find anyone in my life or really around me or even online, like with other people and relationships and that I see, not just romantic, but friendships and whatnot, that truly care about each other. I mean, we have situations where children are being abused in their own home by their parents. Do you really think that a parent who has developed adequate empathy and the ability to love would do that to their child? I don't think so. I know that a lot of that can be contributed to poverty and cultural things, but that can't be accepted. And I don't need to explain to you why that can't be accepted. But what I'm trying to say is that some people truly don't have the ability to care. And back to what I was saying about the beginning, why it's crucial to understand this. I know that a lot of people think the statement saying nobody cares about me is a sign of, depression and isolation, in which, it might be. I don't think it's necessarily harmful if you understand that assessment with the correct framework. The reason that I push this, assumption and observation, I guess, if you don't want to believe me, I'll just keep it as an observation, but I feel like, as you begin to live more, you will see it as a fact. The reason I push for this is because I think understanding this can allow you to have more mental peace and more comfort within your own character. If you are to care fully about someone and let them walk all over you like you're a floor mat, and you are just complacent with everything that they do, everything that they say, and everything that they want, regardless of how perfect you are for them and how perfect it is for you, you are going to end up giving too much of yourself away to that person and ultimately losing yourself, thus becoming the mirror for that person. And some people, it is possible, some people have this trait of empathy where it is seriously possible for you to throw yourself away in the aspirations of bringing another person up. Some people have that level of empathy. But that ultimately harms you in the end. Because what that does is it removes you. And if that person is to leave or to, say that they don't want to talk to you anymore, you're going to get hurt. You're going to sting. You're going to do everything but die, right? You're not going to be able to go to bed because you're going to be so sad. You might not even be able to cry anymore. And I don't like to see that happen to anybody. And I think the only way to prevent that is to not give yourself fully away to somebody. But I can see how I'm kind of sidetracking here. The reason to assume that nobody fully cares about you is that it forces you to care about you, right? It forces you to bring yourself a sense of integrity. I think that's what I've been looking for, integrity, right? If you can accept that you are able to live absent of the opinions of others, or not the opinions of others, but rather the empathy and conformity of others to your own character, then you are going to be a stronger person in general. Because it allows you not to shut off your heart. I'm not saying you should do that, but it allows you to stay open to others whilst being okay with the fact that they don't fully care about you. And if you were gone, they would forget about you eventually. Or not forget about you, but learn to live in the absence of you. That's another thing. I don't really think you can ever move on from anything, necessarily. I don't think you ever forget about loss, right? Especially if you have that empathetic trait, and you really don't ever forget about somebody. You kind of just learn how to live in the absence of them, and that stings a lot. But that's for another day. That's for a different topic, right? I think that the most of what I want to say is been mainly covered, but I guess you can stay if you want to talk about the emotional side, because I've talked a lot about logistics and stuff, logical argumentation, saying that you should maintain your integrity and whatnot, but that doesn't go to say that it hurts. It hurts a lot. And it's impossible. I mean, everyone says it, you know, you got to have pain to have good or whatever, but it seriously is impossible to live a life perfect. Not necessarily for everybody. Some people are granted a level of luck that is rare. They get everything handed to them. They are born into a wealthy family with loving parents, and they have all the friends they want, all the relationships they could ever ask for, and their life doesn't go wrong. And other folks are built to lose. I've talked about this before. Some folks just run into bad luck after bad luck, and that's how life goes. So with this whole assessment of accepting that nobody cares about you does not mean that you are going to just be happy, right? It of course hurts, right? I mean, it hurts a lot when someone leaves you, and it hurts a lot more when that person that leaves you is someone you deeply cared about, and it hurts even more when you find out that they didn't care about you. You feel what I mean? Just think about being in love with somebody that's in love with somebody. You know what I mean? Like, that hurts your soul, that hurts your heart. I mean, you'll be eating thoughts for days on end, right? I don't even know where I'm going with this anymore. I've already gotten most of my points out of the way. I'm honestly just talking about emotions at this point, but I don't know. I should probably wrap it up here. I would just say that in life, I've already covered the stuff about no one caring about you. I don't need to resurface on that, but an overarching thesis for this conclusion would be that in life, you have to come to, you know, an acceptance, that some pain is eternal. There really is some badness that'll always stick with you, and you just have to accept that. If you try to fight it, it's gonna hurt even more than accepting it as a fact of the matter. And I'm not saying to give up necessarily. I'm not saying to just be complacent and just be sad and mope around. I'm saying that it's impossible to fully fix that. And what you have to do is learn how to shift that sadness and that negativity into something that can develop yourself. And if you feel that you want to live a life of sadness, I have no rejection to that idea. A lot of people are more comfortable in the idea of being sad. I mean, we have music nowadays, art form, not even just nowadays. People gotta stop saying nowadays. This is not a new thing. We have music, we have art forms, we have books, etc. that romanticize the idea of being sad. And for some people, being sad is more enjoyable than being happy because it gives them a sense of comfort. You know, it's that analogy of the bird that's lived in the cage all of its life. It doesn't know anything else but the cage. And I'm not gonna trash on you for wanting to be sad. I will trash on you for not fixing your situation, but if you choose to be sad, that is completely fine with me. It is completely fine to be sad. That is something that should be accepted. But I'm gonna start going on a spiel, so I'm gonna save this for a later video. But I think you get the point. So